I have had the privilege of teaching our confirmation class at Temple Israel since my arrival in 2012. And while the curriculum changes and evolves each year, morphing with the times and the needs of our teens and their families we serve, the class always begins the very same way. We sit our kids on a circle on this bima right here on the floor in the sanctuary, and we pass around that Torah, the one right over there. And this Torah is special. Now, I know you know that all Torahs are special, but this one is really different. This Torah is approximately 165 years old. It's from Czechoslovakia, back when that country existed. The parchment isn't glazed, it's dark. It's brown with a little red fading, and though it's very tall, as you can see, it's a nice, beautiful, well-made, and lightweight scroll. It's written in a really lovely script with Kabbalistic styling, and if anybody would like to see after the service, I'd be happy to show you. It isn't kosher, though, because of the marks and the tears and the wear from its journey. This Torah that lives in our ark, usually over in Corman Hall, is part of the Westminster Trust. It's number 346 to be exact, out of 1,564 scrolls that had been gathered together in Prague from the desolated and decimated synagogues in Bohemia and Moravia by the Nazi official responsible for collecting artifacts of the Jewish people to display in museums after our destruction. In addition to these Torahs in the collection, there were books and pictures, there were embroidered vestments, ritual objects, talitot, all collected for permanent exhibition as relics of a culture that no longer existed. Now, at the end of the war, the surviving remnant of the Prague Jewish community made the decision to ship these scrolls to London under the care of the Westminster Synagogue, which eventually became this trust. They examined the Torahs. They tried their best to match them with surviving Jews from the communities they came from, if possible, which was not often possible. They repaired them with the honor that these Torahs deserved. Now, synagogues all over the world, including Temple Israel, have adopted these scrolls, which are kept and used the way Torahs were meant to be kept and used, in arks, taken out and touched and held and studied and valued. And you can't imagine how special it is to see this Torah pass from teen to teen. You guys were here. Hey, confirmation. Woo, yes. As they take their turn, they share what it feels like to hold it. And just this past Monday, with our confirmation class, we did this exercise. And they shared that the experience made them feel more connected to their people, that they wondered about all the Jews who had held and read from the scroll before they did, where they were from, what they were like, of the long and arduous journey that this Torah had made. They talked about how scary it would have been to live through such a time, when glass from the windows of synagogues glittered in the streets, when people grabbed Torahs out of their arks in their temples, just like this one, and hid them in their homes under their beds to keep them safe. Now, I share this story tonight with you for a few reasons. One, this Shabbat is the anniversary of Kristallnacht, the night of broken glass, when a wave of government-sanctioned pogroms was held throughout Germany and Austria. 7,000 Jewish-owned businesses destroyed, 30,000 Jewish men incarcerated in camps, homes, schools, synagogues ransacked, demolished, and burned. And what better way to honor that moment than by telling you all what a life-giving, hopeful, warm, and brilliant feeling it is to see this Torah in the hands of a new generation of Jewish youth who will carry us with pride into the future. So that was my intention, my message. How good, how hopeful to sit with our kids in this sacred space, so far removed from the history that brought this scroll to our door. And then last night, as I was sitting in the audience at my children's play, texts started coming in from friends and family all over the world with the terrifying videos of Jews who were being hunted and beaten on the streets of Amsterdam. Now, I don't know how many of you have followed this news over the last 24 hours. It was kind of hard to do so because at least for the first 8 to 10 hours, I couldn't find a single mention in mainstream American media. Now, the story is still developing, but as far as we know now, massive WhatsApp groups of taxi and Uber drivers coordinated and planned an attack on a group of 3,000 Israeli soccer fans in advance, with help from local Dutch pro-Palestinian groups. They brought baseball bats and clubs and knives and mace and other weapons. They gathered in clusters of 5 to 10 men in alleys and key exits from various train stations, particularly in areas where they knew Israelis would be staying. They chased down and attacked scores of fans after they left the arena, both with weapons, with their fists and their legs. They threw several Israelis into the river. They hit them with their cars. Businesses shuttered their doors and wouldn't let them in. Cab drivers refused to stop, and the violence went on for over an hour and a half in the streets of the city before police intervened. There's video of police standing by. There's video of groups of men breaking into hotels to search room by room for Jews. Israel dispatched 2 rescue planes to bring Israelis home. They instructed their people to lock themselves inside their hotel rooms and not go outside, to remove any symbols or ritual items that identified them as Jews, and to get out of Europe as quickly as possible. Today, the day after all of the Israelis, thank God, were rescued and flown home, hundreds of pro-Palestinian marchers took to the streets in droves, waving flags and chanting slogans, even as King Willem-Alexander of the Netherlands stated, "We failed our Jewish community of the Netherlands during World War II, and last night we failed them again." It feels surreal to talk about this tonight, to have to rewrite my sermon touching on Kristallnacht due to a violent European pogrom in 2024. But these are difficult times, and we all know this. Last year, our community rabbis had an opportunity to study with a few brilliant scholars from the Shalom Hartman Institute, a center of Jewish thought and education, whose mission it is to strengthen Jewish peoplehood, identity, and pluralism, and to ensure that Judaism is a compelling force for good in the 21st century. In this workshop, we learned that it is often helpful to name what we are looking for when we study Torah, especially after a communal trauma, this world that we've been living in since October 7th. They ask, are we using Torah as a mirror, immersing ourselves in the stories of our people to see modern times reflected through the text? Do we need Torah as comfort, to understand our modern lives as part of something greater than ourselves, to put things into perspective, to believe that no matter what, God is with us? Or do we look to Torah as a guide, as a pathway to action, a plan for our lives through which we can figure out what to do, how to live, how to be in this world? In this week's Torah portion, Lech Lecha, Avram, our patriarch, the father of the Jewish people, is commanded by God to venture into the unknown, to let go, to leave his father's house, everything he's ever known, his community, his people, his country, and travel through the wilderness to a new land. And shockingly, he goes. He packs up his stuff, he leaves with his wife and his nephew who follow him into the wilderness. And it must have been terrifying, following the instructions of a God they didn't even know, heading out on their own with nothing but a promise of greatness. And things only got harder for them from there. There was war, family strife, Sodom and Gomorrah. There was heartbreak and pain, infertility, doubt, despair. And yet, even so, Avram, who becomes Abraham through this journey, demonstrates commitment to something greater than himself over and over again. He puts his own comfort and convenience, his fate and fortune at risk for the sake of his family, his community, his tribe, and his people. And in our tradition, Abraham serves as the exemplar for 3 of our most important mitzvot: caring for the sick, redeeming the captive, and welcoming the stranger, all of which he does at his most vulnerable moments. And this is what I cling to in these trying times. The Torah, now, in this place, can be our mirror. Abraham and Sarah courageously journeyed into the unknown. They were met with great, sometimes seemingly insurmountable challenges. They must have been deeply afraid, and yet they kept going. They moved forward, and look around. Here we are, all of us, thousands of years later, making good on God's promise to them. We can see ourselves in their story. We don't really know what we're going to have to face in our lifetime, but like them, we'll keep going, we'll move forward, and we will find absolute joy in sharing Judaism with our children and our grandchildren. We are links in the same chain of tradition, and we are really strong ones. The Torah can be our comfort too. We are an ancient people. This is not our first rodeo, or our second, or third, or fourth. Time and time again, we have risen to the occasion. We have survived, we have thrived. We are God's people, and in God's own words, I will maintain this covenant between us, between your children in the future, as an everlasting covenant throughout the ages, to be your God, yours, and your offspring to come. The Torah can be our guide. For me, this is the most impactful lens right now. Despite his hardships, Abraham does not wallow. He leaps up and offers hospitality to strangers. He turns and runs into treacherous situations to save his family. Over and over again, he tries his best to do the work and to do the right thing. And this is who we are, who we have always been, a people who takes care of each other, always, who refuses to cower in fear, a people who knows right from wrong and who is eternally proud of and grateful for our promised land, now and forever. Lech lecha, go forth from this moment with your head held high. In the spirit of our ancestors, may we find within ourselves the strength to take our own steps forward in uncertain times. Even when the journey seems daunting, grant us the resilience to continue walking, the wisdom to choose love over fear every time, and the vision to see the beauty and goodness along the way. May we lift our eyes toward the heavens, inspired by the knowledge that we do not walk alone. God is with us, Israel is behind us, and today and every day we have each other. Shabbat shalom.